A beaver hears running water and takes it personally. Tree down, mud packed, stream blocked, whole place redesigned. By the next day, fish have a new pond, frogs have a nursery, birds have a buffet, and some poor farmer has a flooded field because a 25-kilo rodent decided to become a civil engineer. That's what beavers do. They don't need claws like a bear or speed like a cheetah. They reshape entire landscapes with their teeth. So now here's something that never made much sense to me. Africa has some of the biggest rivers on Earth. It has forests, wetlands, lakes, and endless freshwater habitats. It has hippos, crocodiles, elephants, and some of the richest wildlife on the planet. Yet across that entire continent, there has never been a single native beaver. Now, how does one of the world's greatest ecosystem engineers completely miss a continent that looks perfect for it? Well, the beaver story begins far from Africa. So, the beaver family first appeared in North America during the late Eocene, tens of millions of years ago, and then spread into Eurasia from there. And back then, beavers were a much more diverse group. Some were digging animals, some lived very different lives from the dam builders we know today. And over time, that big family shrank down to a single living genus, Castor. Now today, only 2 species remain. The North American beaver lives across much of Canada, the United States, Alaska, and parts of northern Mexico. The Eurasian beaver lives across large parts of Europe and northern Asia, with many populations recovering after centuries of hunting. So modern beavers are basically a northern world animal. Their map is built around cold and temperate rivers, forested wetlands, lakes, marshes, and slow-moving streams with enough trees and plants nearby to feed them and build with. Now that matters a lot, because Africa was never part of the natural beaver map. No fossil trail leading deep into the continent, no lost African branch of modern beavers, no sign that this animal once had a southern empire and then just disappeared. Now, beavers are much bigger than most people picture. A fully grown adult can be around the size of a medium dog and usually heavy, chunky, low to the ground with a body made for pushing through water rather than sprinting across open land. On land, it can look awkward, like a furry suitcase trying to escape. In water, it suddenly makes sense. Everything about it is built around rivers, ponds, lakes, marshes, and wooded banks. The back feet are webbed for swimming. The tail works like a rudder, a fat store, a warning paddle, and a balance tool when the animal stands up to cut wood. The fur is thick and waterproof, which matters a lot for an animal that spends so much of its life wet. And then come the teeth, the part that makes a beaver, well, a beaver. You see, those front incisors are large, orange, and constantly growing, because an animal that spends its life chewing trees needs teeth that can survive abuse. And beavers use them to cut branches, drop trees, strip bark, build dams, build lodges, and store food for colder months. And this is the important part. A beaver depends on a very specific combination of conditions. It needs fresh water, banks it can dig into or build on, vegetation it can eat, and plenty of nearby trees and shrubs to reshape its surroundings. Wood is every bit as important as water. Now, that combination is the key to everything in this video, because once we understand what a beaver actually needs, Africa becomes a much more interesting puzzle. So, from Eurasia, Africa looks pretty close. You can trace the route with your finger in a second. Europe, the Middle East, North Africa, easy. For a lion, hyena, horse, antelope, elephant, or early human, of course, that kind of route could work during the right climate window. And many of these animals could move across open ground, follow seasonal food, travel long distances, and push through rough country until they reached the next good place. But a beaver has a much shorter leash. It needs the next usable riverbank, and then the next one, and then the next one after that. It needs water deep enough for safety, banks soft enough for shelter, plants close enough to eat, and wood close enough to cut. Every step of the journey has to offer part of the same life support system. Now that is where the route into Africa becomes brutal. You see, between the beaver world of Eurasia and the heart of Africa sits one of the hardest dry belts on Earth, the Sahara-Arabian zone. Across history, this region changed many times. Some periods were greener, with lakes, rivers, wetlands, grasslands, and animals moving through places that are desert today. These wetter windows helped many species cross. But for the beaver, a green Sahara still had to be the right kind of green. Grasslands help grazers, open savannas help runners, seasonal lakes help animals that can travel from waterhole to waterhole. But a beaver needs connected freshwater edges with enough woody growth to feed, hide, build, and keep moving. One good river is useful. 2 good wetlands are useful. A long chain of them, lined up at the right time from Eurasia into Africa, becomes a much rarer thing. And then, of course, you need to add the animal's body into the problem. You see, a beaver is powerful in water and clumsy on land. It can walk, explore, and disperse, yet it is slow, exposed, and vulnerable once it leaves cover. A dry gap that might annoy a hyena could end a beaver's journey. A stretch of open ground that might slow down an antelope could turn a beaver into an easy meal. And this is why the absence of beavers in Africa starts to make sense. Many animals crossed between continents because they could use broad landscapes. Beavers needed a narrow ribbon of water, banks, plants, and wood, repeated again and again across a region famous for breaking that ribbon. So the problem was never distance. The problem was the road a beaver needed. And once we cross that broken road and reach the continent itself, the question gets even more interesting, because the water is definitely there. The Nile runs for thousands of kilometers. The Congo Basin holds one of the largest river systems on Earth, wrapped in rainforest, side channels, flooded forests, and swampy edges. The Okavango Delta spreads water into the middle of southern Africa like a giant inland maze. The Zambezi, the Niger, the Senegal, the Limpopo, the Great Lakes region. Africa has no shortage of freshwater worlds. So, from a distance, it feels like beavers should fit somewhere. A beaver does not need the whole continent. It would not need deserts, open savannas, or dry plains. It would only need the right pockets: permanent water, softer banks, enough woody vegetation, safe cover, and channels small enough to actually control. And Africa has places that look pretty close to that. The answer cannot simply be Africa has no habitat. That would be too easy and also wrong. Africa has many freshwater habitats. The deeper issue is that these habitats were never connected to the natural beaver world in the right way, at the right time, across the right route. And Africa's rivers already had their own cast of powerful freshwater animals. Hippos graze around rivers, carve paths through wetlands, move nutrients, and reshape channels with their bodies. Crocodiles dominate many waterways as major predators. Elephants break trees, open vegetation, and change river edges. Otters hunt through streams and lakes. Huge fish, flood cycles, papyrus beds, seasonal rains, droughts, and tropical river systems all shape the environment in ways very different from the northern wetlands where beavers became famous. So Africa was never a blank space waiting for a dam builder. It was already a working river world built by floods, heat, forests, grasses, predators, giants, and seasons. And the beaver simply never got there. So, the next question is obvious. If beavers never reached this continent naturally, could they survive there today? Well, in selected places, probably yes. A beaver does not need snow, pine forests, or some perfect northern postcard. It needs permanent fresh water, banks it can use, edible plants, and enough woody material close to the water. Give it that package, and the animal usually knows exactly what to do. And that means its chances would be very uneven. A hot, wide, fast river with hard banks and huge seasonal floods would be a rough place for a beaver. The animal could live along the edges, feed, dig, and hide, yet building dams would be much harder. Beavers are famous for blocking smaller streams, narrow channels, and slower water where sticks and mud can actually control the flow. The best places would probably be smaller side channels, forested streams, cooler highland rivers, wetland edges, and areas with enough shrubs and trees right beside the water. In a place like that, a beaver could settle in, cut vegetation, build a lodge or burrow, and maybe start changing the water around it. But that is where survival turns into impact. You see, a beaver is never just another rodent sitting near a river. Once it starts building, water levels can rise, dry edges can turn wet, trees can die from flooding, new ponds can appear, and the whole local habitat can shift. For frogs, insects, birds, and some fish, that could create new opportunities. For farms, irrigation canals, roads, planted trees, or fragile riverbanks, it could become a serious headache very quickly. So yes, beavers could probably survive in some African freshwater habitats. But the bigger question is whether adding them would help those places, damage them, or create a strange mix of both. Well, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. You can also leave a comment with what you would like to see in the following videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.